The Atharva Shirša Upanishad. Let us begin with the text now. What is Atharva Shirša? Atharva Shirša, we can split the word into two. Atharva literally means firmness, one-pointedness, steadiness, and something which is very deeply grounded, something which is very well established. And Shirsha means the head, the intellect. Shirsha literally means head, intellect. But here it is referring to divinized intellect, intellect which is divinized and directed towards spiritual growth, directed towards liberation. So Atharva Shirsha is the name itself is promising you of steadfastness and one-pointedness and consecrated, converged intellect that pursues self-realization and liberation. It's like I said in the previous videos that these are journeys. All of the things that you do are journeys, and the only thing that truly goes along with our soul into the next life is the essence of all these journeys, and the spiritual essence of all these journeys, and the wisdom that we extract out of each life's efforts. So this upasana, the Atharva Shirša Upanishad, and the upasana of Shri Ganesh through this Upanishad promises you steadfastness and converged prana and mind towards your self-realization and liberation. The Upanishad begins with Shanti mantras. All of the Upanishads, the 108 that we spoke about yesterday, all of these Upanishads begin with Shanti mantras, and these Shanti mantras are extracted from the Veda, from where the Upanishad origins. So you have Upanishads that belong to the Rig Veda would have Shanti mantras dedicated to the Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda. Similarly, the Atharva Shirša Upanishad origins from the Atharva Veda. So the Shanti mantras that we recite in the beginning of the Upanishad are those coming from the Atharva Veda. These the two of these mantras that we say. The first one is Om Bhadram Karnebhihi Shrunuyam Devaha. It goes like that. Om Bhadram Karnebhihi Shrunuyam Devaha Bhadram Paschamakscha Bhirajatraha Sthirairangai Stushtuvan Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhum Swasti na Indro Vridhashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti na Starshayo Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. It says Om Bhadram Karnebhihi Shrunuyam Devaha. Bhadram is auspiciousness, beautifulness, divine in nature. We are praying to the Lord, O gods, O devas, may everything that I hear be very auspicious. Everything that falls on my ears, Karnebhihi, may everything that falls on my ears be very auspicious and good. May I hear everything auspicious and good. Bhadram Paschamakscha Virajatraya. Whatever I see, may it be auspicious and good. May I not have any devastating experiences through my ears and my eyes. Sthirairangai Stushtuvan Sastanubhihi. May my limbs and my arms, my body and my mind be steady. May it be steady. Steady means let it not go through ups and downs, through sicknesses, through weakness. May it be steady. Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu. So that this life journey which has been allotted to me, the age that has been allotted to me, may this age and my life be lived as an offering in service of the divine, Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu. Swastina Indro Vridhashravaha. May Indra, the Lord of power, glory, strength, may he shower his blessings on us. Indra is a representative of Balam. May he shower his blessings and strength on us so that we are able to go through the ups and downs and all the ordeals of life with strength, forbearance, tolerance. Swastina Pusha Vishwavedaha. Pusha is sun god, the nourisher, the giver of prana and light. May the sun god shower upon us his blessings so that we may remain in the light and we may remain in the awareness, and may our health and our life be full of his divine grace. Swastina Swastina Pusha Vishwavedaha. Swastina Tarkshayo Arishtanemihi. Tarksha is a divine, celestial, mythical bird like Garuda. He is, I say, he's the bird of awareness that circles into the sky and looks upon us as we perform our yagyas, as we perform our obligations, duties, as we perform our dharma. And he, the bird of awareness, keeps a watch on us so that we may be able to take on the flight of life, the flight of our spiritual life without any obstructions. May there be no obstructions. He keeps a watch on us. So may Tarksha shower his divine attention and blessings on us. Arishtanemihi Swastino Brahaspatir Dadhatu. Brahaspati is the god of the gurus of all, the guru of all the devas. May he shower his divine attention and blessings on us. He's also the lord of speech. May he purify our speech and may beautiful golden words come out from our mouth. So we invoke the blessings of Brahaspati, Indra, the sun, and Pusha, and the Tarksha in this particular mantra. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. And we seek peace. We seek peace at all different levels. 3 levels are, we are chanting peace 3 times. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. At 3 different levels. This can be interpreted as, mental, emotional, and spiritual. It can be said mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. Can also be said Adi Adhyatmik, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Devik. All these 3 levels. Adhyatmik is the obstructions that come from within me. May there be no obstructions coming from within me, and may there be peace within me. So our health, may there be no obstructions coming in the form of laziness or any kind of sickness. And my inside is at peace. Adi Bhautik, may everything around me be peaceful. May there be no obstructions coming on my spiritual journey from around me, from people around me, surrounding me. And Adi Devik are invoking the natural forces to be peaceful. We're praying the natural forces. May the natural forces around me, nature around me, be very peaceful, and no obstructions come in the form of natural calamities while I am pursuing this journey of my spiritual practices. A beautiful Shanti mantra, to begin with the Shanti mantra. In fact, if you understand the Shanti mantra, it in itself, conditions your entire inside to prepare for the study of the, Upanishad. The Shanti mantras in themselves, I mean, if you have not even started reading the Upanishad, after the Shanti mantras, then we begin with the actual study of the Upanishad. In the previous video, we spoke something about Avartan. In the Upasana video, we spoke something about Avartan. The Ganesh Upanishad is practiced in the form of Avartans. So, the entire reading of your Upanishad, it can be divided into 3 sections. The first one is you begin with a Shanti mantra, and then you read the whole Upanishad. One after the other. There are khandas, there are sections in it. We read the whole Upanishad. After that, there is a Phalashruti. Phalashruti is something that just motivates the entire verse, motivates you and gives you the benefits of doing this Upanishad. After the Phalashruti, then there is another set of Shanti mantras that we read, and that finishes the Upanishad. Alright? So when we spoke about Avartan yesterday, we spoke about Avartan. And Avartan is there. Let's say you want to do a repeated chanting of the Upanishad. Let's say 11 times. You want to do 11 times Avartan. How does one do that? You begin with the Shanti mantras once, only once. You say the Shanti mantras once. Read the Upanishad 11 times. You read the Upanishad 11 times. Read the Phalashruti after 11 times of reading Upanishad. Read the Phalashruti only once. And read the other set of Shanti mantras only once. So out of the 4 steps, it's only the step number 2 that you're going to repeat 11 times. That's the crux, that's the content, that's the actual Upanishad, which we read 11 times. And then the remaining part of it is done only once. This is about the Avartan. Now let us begin with the Upanishad. I'm going to translate every paragraph one by one. The entire Upanishad has been put into a separate video without any halt and without any explanation. Just the chant of the whole Upanishad for your reference. Even otherwise on the internet, there are many beautiful recordings of the Upanishad. The chant, the Upanishad actually has been chanted very beautifully by many different people. And so you could take even that as reference, but I have also posted a video that is completely dedicated to only the narration of the video. In this video, we will be taking paragraph by paragraph, khanda, one khanda, second khanda, third khanda, etc. Of the explanation. So as we go ahead, from stanza to stanza, from one khanda to another khand, the entire verses are composed for Ganesha. They're addressed to Ganesha. And like I spoke in the beginning, there are two ways at looking at this Upanishad. In fact, every Upanishad, even if you talk of Bhagavad Gita, the entire conversation is around Krishna and Arjuna. But what does Krishna actually mean and what does Arjuna actually mean when a Vedantin sits and, examines this? Then he talks about the conversation between the Atman and the individuality. When a Vaishnava is interpreting the Bhagavad Gita, he interprets it differently, and when a Vedantin is doing it, he does it differently. Similarly, the Atharva Shirša Upanishad is addressed to Ganesha, but your attention constantly, it is advised, that remains on the universal consciousness. Through the form, we are invoking the universal consciousness. The form is tangible, we can see it in front, and we can approach it and we can dissolve ourselves into it to be able to connect to the Nirgun Nirakar. Sagun Sakar and then Nirgun Nirakar. So the attention always remains on the absolute. Through this form, we are reaching the absolute. The first khanda is just one sentence. Namaste Ganapataye. Hari Om. Namaste Ganapataye. Nama is, it's not mine, it's very respectful, it's a very humbling word that surrenders your entire personality. It's not mine, nothing is mine. It's not, it's you're dissolving your ego to be able to prostrate, to be able to offer, and respectfully, te is respectful offering to Ganesha. Namaha te Ganesha. Namaste Ganapataye. That's the first sentence. The first khanda says Om, Hari Om, Namaste Ganapataye. And then we go over to the second stanza. The second stanza is very beautiful. The second khanda is very beautiful. In fact, it talks about Nirgun Nirakar straight away. You see, in most of the stotras and beautiful compositions in Sanskrit literature, the little that I have studied, it's an ocean. It's a huge ocean. And the more you study these scriptures and the more you study these compositions, they're all given by stalwarts, they're all contributed by Maharshis and Yogis and Brahma Rishis. They are, the more you study, the more you are humbled to know that we are not even capable of understanding all of this completely. Leave aside contributing to this level. So when you read many of these stotras, like I said yesterday, Adi Guru Shankaracharya has composed so many beautiful stotras. The common trend that you see in these stotras is that he begins with Sagun Sakar. The entire glory of the Lord is explained in all the verses in the beginning. And then he takes you to Nirgun Nirakar. The last stanza or the last word is normally dedicated to Nirgun Nirakar, where the form dissolves and the consciousness behind the form is revealed to you as a sadhak. The Atharva Shirša is exactly opposite. The first stanza is dedicated to Nirgun Nirakar, and the last stanza of the Upanishad is dedicated to the glory of the Ganesha, which talks about Ekadantam Chaturhastam Pashamakusha Dharinam. Very beautiful stanza in the end. The first stanza is dedicated to Nirgun Nirakar. Tvameva prataksham tattvamasi, tvameva kevalam kartasi, tvameva kevalam dhartasi, Tvameva kevalam hartasi. Tvameva sarvam khalvidam brahmasi. Tvam sakshat atmasi nityam. So what does this stanza mean? The description, like I said before, that the first stanza itself in the Atharva Shirša is that of Nirgun Nirakar, and it talks about the vastness of consciousness itself. Tvameva pratyaksham tattvamasi. Tvameva pratyaksham. Pratyaksham means it's like right there in front of me. Pratyaksha means, pratyaksha gyan is like there is no need for any proof. There is no need for searching. There is no need for any experimenting. It's with certitude. Pratyaksham is with certitude. You know, if there is a Anuman Gyan, we say that if there is a Anuman Gyan, that means we are concluding out of some, inferring out of some proof. Anuman is like when you see some smoke, you are assuming that there is fire. It's with certitude also, but it is an inference. But Pratyaksham is, you're right here, and it has been endorsed, written innumerable times in the, it's a Shruti Vakya, it has been written in the Upanishads and the Vedas. I don't need any proof for that. Tvameva pratyaksham tattvamasi. Now, tattva is, here there are two aspects of understanding. The direct meaning is that you are the tattvas, you know, you are the one which has created everything. You are the tattvas, the 25 tattvas mentioned in our scriptures. The 25, out of these 25, 24 are dedicated to Prakriti, and one is the unmanifested Purush. These 24 are the tattvas are all your, your entire antakaran has 4, man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar. There are 5 tanmatras, there are 5 panchamahabhutas, the elements, 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action. So 20 plus 4 antakarana, the 24. These belong to the Prakriti, and one unmanifested Purush, that is the unmanifested consciousness. Now all of this is creation. And what is all this creation? It is you. You see, consciousness itself has manifested itself into all of these, tattvas. So tvameva kevalam, tvameva pratyaksham tattvamasi. This is one aspect of the explanation, that you are the basis of all this creation. You are the creation. The second explanation to this sentence is a Vedantin explanation, where there is a Mahavakya embedded into this sentence. Pratyaksham tattvam asi. Tattvam asi is a Mahavakya that says that tat, that, tvam, you, asi is that thou art. This is a Mahavakya which is inserted into the sentence. In any which way, it means that this whole creation is you. This entire creation is you. Tvameva pratyaksham tattvamasi. Tvameva kevalam kartasi. Naturally, if this whole creation is you, then whatever is happening here is done by you. Whatever is happening here is done by you. I am happening because of you. I am being there because of you. Everything, when my mind, when my intellect, when all of my tanmatras and organs of perception and everything is you. You have created this. That means everything that is happening in the world is happening because of you. Tvameva kevalam kartasi. Tvameva kevalam dhartasi. Not only have you created, but you alone sustain it. Kevalam, alone. You alone sustain it. It is your power which is sustaining this entire creation. I mean, I am existing because of you. I am existing because of you, and all that I experience is existing because of you. Tvameva kevalam kartasi. Tvameva kevalam dhartasi. Dharta word comes from dhri. You know, the root word is dhri. Dhri is like dharan karna. That means hold on to. Consciousness is sustaining this entire creation. Consciousness has created this entire creation, and it is sustaining this entire creation. Tvameva kevalam kartasi. Tvameva kevalam dhartasi. Tvameva kevalam hartasi. You only finish it all when you want to finish it. You finish it all. You finish whatever you want to finish. There is a beautiful balance. It's such a beautiful this whole triology of creator, sustaining, and destroying. You know, like Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. It is referring to the principles of Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh over here. You have created this creation. You are holding this creation, and you destroy this creation. When things have to finish, they finish. And a beautiful balance is maintained with these 3 powers of yours, right? Tvameva kevalam tvameva sarvam khalvidam. Now let's read the paragraph again. Hari Om Namaste Ganapataye Tvameva Prataksham Tatvamasi Tvameva Kevalam Kartasi Tvameva Kevalam Dhartasi Tvameva Kevalam Hartasi Tvameva Sarvam Khalvidam Brahmasi Tvameva Sarvam Khalvidam Brahmasi. This all-pervading Brahma is you. This all-pervading Brahma is you. Tvameva Sarvam Khalvidam Brahmasi Tvam Sakshat Atmasi Nityam. That Atma which I know is within me is you. This Atma that I know within me is eternal, is never dying. It's Nirguno, Nishkriyo, Nityo, Nirvikalpa, Niranjana, Nirvikara, Nirakara, Nitya Muktosmi Nirmalaha. This is the definition of the Atma given by Adiguru Shankaracharya. And you know, this eternal Atma within me is you. What a bold declaration and what a summarization of the entire consciousness. The first stanza of the Atharva Shirsha itself gives you Brahma Gyan. It gives you Brahma Gyan. You have created this whole 25 tattvas and you have manifested this whole universe. You are sustaining this whole universe. You destroy it when you feel there is an imbalance. This constant process of creation and destruction going on, and you are behind it. You are the one who is doing it. This is the Adi Daivat Pratipada Khand, the one that makes a very bold declaration of what Brahman is. The creator, the sustainer, the destroyer, and the Atman within each one of us. After this, the Rishi says, Ritam Vachmi, Satyam Vachmi. It says, Ritam Vachmi, Satyam Vachmi. Now, the Rishi says that whatever I have declared just now about the Brahman, this is absolutely Ritam and this is absolutely Satyam. Ritam is that which is endorsed by the scriptures. It is something which is living eternally as a living truth in the scriptures. Ritam Vachmi, Satyam Vachmi, that which I have personally experienced, my own truth. So whatever I said just now, this big declaration that I have given, is something that is coming from the scriptures and something that I am experiencing every day. Ritam Vachmi, Satyam Vachmi. Then comes another khand which is like a prayer for protection, a very beautiful stanza that comes as a prayer for protection. Now here, after the Nirgun Nirakar description, the Rishi comes now to a personal relationship with Ganesha, to a personal relationship, a te with Ganesha. Okay, he says that Avatvam Mam Avavaktaram, Avashrotaram, Avadataram, Avadhataram, Avanu Chanam Avashisham, Avapaschatat, Avapurustat, Avottaratat, Avadakshinatat, Avachordhvatat, Avadharatat, Sarvato Mam Pahi Pahi Samantat. It's a very long stanza. It says, Avatvam Mam Avavaktaram. Avatvam Mam is protect me from myself. Avatvam Mam, protect me from myself. What does it mean? Protect me from myself means I'm praying to the Lord that please protect me from myself, from this fluctuating mind, from this fluctuating, transiting intellect. Today I feel like this, tomorrow I feel like this. Sometimes I believe 100%, sometimes I don't believe 100%. Protect me from myself that I'm able to remain steady on the path. Avavaktaram, the one that is speaking right now, me the teacher who is speaking. Protect me as a speaker. Avashrotaram, protect me as a listener. Protect all those who are listening. Protect me as a speaker, protect me as a listener. Avavaktaram, Avashrotaram, Avadataram, Avadhataram. The one who is giving knowledge, protect him, the one who is giving knowledge, so that I am able to give 100%, so that I don't hold on to. And Avatvam Mam, Avavaktaram, Avashrotaram, Avadataram, Avadhataram, the one who is holding this knowledge. May the knowledge stay in me. Let it not be transient. Let it not dissipate. Let it not just leak out. Let it remain in me. Avadhataram. Avanuchanam avashisham. Protect the teacher and the student. Protect both of us. Avanuchanam avashisham. Then comes another beautiful stanza of protection from all the directions. Avapaschatat, avapurustat. From the west and from the east. Protect me from the west. Protect me from the east. Avapaschatat, avapurustat. Avottaratat, avadakshinatat. From the north, from the south. Avottaratat, avadakshinatat. Avachordhvatat, from above. Avadharatat, from below. Protect me from all these directions. Sarvato Mam Pahi Pahi Samantat, from all these directions. Now what is there for Ganesha to protect us from all these directions? He's talking about the vibrations and the unseen obstacles and dangers that come in the form of information, misguiding thoughts, influences, distractions that take you away from the path. All these directions, kindly, we are conversing with Ganesha. Ganesha, please protect me from all these directions. May I remain in your divine protection from all these directions, that none of the vibrations that dislodge me from my path ever disturb me. May I be protected from all these directions. Sarvato Mam Pahi Pahi Samantat. The next khanda talks about Adhyatma Pratipadak Khand. This is again a very beautiful explanation. This stanza is a very, very beautiful explanation of all the attributes of consciousness that are represented in the Ganesha. And as we prostrate onto Ganesha, these attributes get showered on us. Tvam Vangmayastam Chinmaya, Tvam Anandamayastam Brahmamaya, Tvam Satchidananda Dvityosi, Tvam Prataksham Brahmasi, Tvam Jnanamayo Vijnanamayosi. What does this say? It says Tvam Vangmayastam Chinmaya. First, addressal to the consciousness that you're the seed of all the sounds, all that I hear. You're the seed of all the sounds. Second, coming to Ganesha, Ganesha is considered the lord of speech. And when we prostrate onto Ganesha, this attribute of sound and this blessing of sound comes on to us. And Vakshakti, the power of speech, is bestowed upon us through this upasana. Tvam Vangmayastam Chinmaya. Chinmaya is embodiment of knowledge. The consciousness is an embodiment of knowledge. Consciousness is knowledge. And through the Ganesha, it becomes like an icon of knowledge. And our submission to Ganesha showers upon us this knowledge in the form of Siddhi and Buddhi. In the form of Siddhi and Buddhi. These are the two Shaktis, the two Prasad that we get when we are invoking consciousness through the Ganesha. As Tvam Vangmayastam Chinmaya, Tvam Anandamayastam Brahmamaya. The very nature of Brahma Tattva is Ananda. And when we say this to the consciousness and to the Ganesha, we come in the state, we come in that alignment, in that beautiful alignment in the Upasana. And that Ananda is showered upon us as well. The bliss is showered upon us well. We remain in alignment, we remain in Ananda with the Ganesha. Tvam Vangmayastam Chinmaya, Tvam Anandamayastam Brahmamaya, Tvam Satchidananda Dvityosi. Satchidananda Dvityosi, the Ananda Swarup of Brahman. And Advityosi, when you remain in alignment with consciousness, when you're in Upasana, when you're narrating the Upanishad, and when you're aligning yourself to the Ganesha and to the consciousness thereafter, you remain in Advitya. There are no vikars here. There are no fluctuations of the mind. The mind remains one-pointed, aligned beautifully to the divine consciousness. There's no Advitya. There is just you and consciousness. And you and consciousness, the journey towards, in the Upasana, as you progress in the journey, you become one with the consciousness. You become one with the Brahman. Tvam Satchidananda Dvityosi, Tvam Prataksham Brahmasi. You become the Brahma yourself in that alignment. Tvam Jnanamayo Vijnanamayosi. You see, when you come in alignment with the consciousness and when you become the Brahman yourself, then the Jnana is obviously passing on to you. You gather all the intellectual knowledge and wisdom that comes through this divine connection. You get aligned to the Siddhi and the Buddhi attributes of the Ganesha, and we call this Jnanamaya. When there is clarity, intellectual certitude, and knowledge which is received directly, through the transmission of the consciousness within, we call it Jnanamaya. And when wisdom trickles down over the years as you go ahead with the Upasana, as wisdom trickles down and you understand the words more and more, you become more and more clear. You get more and more deeper insight about what you've been reading all these years. When wisdom trickles down, then it becomes Vijnanamaya. Then it becomes Vijnanamaya. When your knowledge and whatever information you gather in your intellect is supported by your own experience, it becomes Vijnanamaya. Tvam Jnanamayo Vijnanamayo Si. This is what this stanza says.